I'd like you to imagine just for a moment, you're about to commence a cold call prospecting session. You've made your first call and you're sitting there very confidently as you're dialing it because you know exactly where you're going to take that discussion and you're feeling very at ease about the whole process. The person picks up the call on the other end and they sense your confidence and your ease, and they respond equally as warmly after you've introduced yourself. You've been able to quickly ascertain whether they're a tenant that potentially could be buying their first home, or an investor or an owner-occupier. And within a split second, you're able to gauge where to take that conversation, what questions you're going to ask, how you're going to word them so they land perfectly. And all the while, this person is responding to your confidence at the other end because they feel that you're delivering your message with ease and you know exactly what you're doing. What a wonderful thing. Sadly, that doesn't resonate with everybody. It's everybody's dream, of course, in a cold call session, but it doesn't resonate with everybody. But we're going to put a quick end to that. And particularly for people who do make blunders in conversations and are struggling with their cold call sessions and finding people who answer the calls at the other end are throwing them off their game a little bit. I've developed this really, really simple tool. Let me get to here. Sorry about that. Conversation flow tool. The conversation flow tool, and it does exactly what you want. What it says, it's going to help your conversations flow. Now, this is an example that I prepared earlier, right? But you can use this example, of course, because it's based on my experience in real estate and my call team's experience in doing cold calls in real estate as well. You see these big fields across the top here. These are the various types of people you're most likely to come across. So it might be that it's a tenant that potentially could be a first home buyer, tenants that potentially could invest. You've got owner-occupier, investors that reside interstate. Often they pick up the calls too. And then you've got investors who reside locally who might want another investment, or they want to cash up and get rid of their current. And then the one that trips up a lot of agents is the how to follow up open homes. So these are the different type scenarios. Now, under these columns here are all the little prompter words that represent a question that you could ask in these different scenarios. And you might be able to see, even just looking at that, they're all different. You would speak to an investor, a current tenant, potential investor or first home buyer quite differently to the way you would speak to an owner-occupier. Now, this is where a lot of agents get tripped up. They don't know where to take the conversation when all of a sudden they find they're not speaking to an owner-occupier, but they're speaking to a tenant, and they weren't prepared for that sort of discussion. So all these little questions here help you warm up the discussion and keep that person engaged, but also helps you pre-qualify that person. Now, you might think that's a bucket load of questions to be asking somebody on a cold call, and I have to agree with you. But if you word them, script them beautifully, you'll find it makes a huge difference in the way they land on that person. And I'm going to just show you another little thing very shortly here, but you're going to get this booklet as well. It's the full explanation booklet. Now, before I go on, there is actually another part to this little tool. In case you don't want to use my version, there is actually a fully blank writable version as well, and there's going to be an Excel version added to this in case you want to type in your own notes for that. Now, this little booklet here is going to tell you how to do all that, just in case it just all went over your head a little bit. I do want to show you, however, I've been really generous on this one, I've actually included all the questions. So even though this little chart here has little prompter triggers in these little boxes, this is the full scripted questions, and they're all worded to land well on the ears of the person at the other end, so it doesn't roll out like an interrogation session. Obviously, I have to assume there's an element of smarts up here so you don't interrogate them too much, but I've given you all the scenarios. So this one here is for the owner occupiers and all the questions you might ask them. There are going to be common questions like asking for mobiles and asking for emails. They're the same right across every scenario, but the ones in between are different. All right, so we've got the template that you can write your own. That's a downloadable PDF. We also have the fully completed example here, which you can use straight away. And then we're going to include an Excel version. And also, for those who are a little bit more savvy, I'm also including the Canva, which designed this, the Canva design link as well, in case you want to, you consider yourself a bit design savvy and you want to include some extra columns or rows down the bottom. There's this booklet as well, which has the explanations, but all the different questions that are going to help you out, and they're fully scripted for you. All right, so all of that's available on my website, which is propertyprospecting.com.au. So that's www.propertyprospecting.com.au. I should be putting it across the bottom of the screen anyway. And you can have all of that for less than 5 cups of coffee. It's going to make a big difference to your conversations if you find you flummox a little bit. Anyway, I hope you'll find it really helpful. Nice talking to you, and we'll be catching up with you again soon.